Donald Trump declares magnificent victory in speech to jubilant supporters. Edited by Dulcie Lee in Washington, D.C. and Sam Hancock in London, with reporters across the U.S. Ahead of Donald Trump's victory speech in Florida a little earlier, it was an entirely different scene at the site of Kamala Harris's election night party in Washington, D.C. The vice president had been expected to speak to crowds at Howard University, but when it became clear that wouldn't happen, those gathered headed home, leaving behind empty chairs and abandoned flags. The BBC's U.S. media partner, CBS News, says its race rating for the swing state of Nevada is that it leans Trump. This is not an official projection, but the western state, which includes Las Vegas, voted for Democrat Joe Biden at the 2020 election, and flipping it would give Republican Donald Trump another 6 electoral college votes. The mood outside the Palm Beach Convention Center, where it's 4 o'clock, is jubilant, as Donald Trump's supporters come streaming out of his election night party. Pickup trucks driving by blare their horns, and a man on a motorcycle is playing a Trump-themed hip-hop song. Fatima Henges, 30, danced across the street as she left the party tonight and says she's happy, super happy about the results so far. "We don't want to go home, but we gotta work tomorrow," she says. "I think it's good for everyone, a change." Roselba Morales, an immigrant from Mexico who became a naturalized citizen last year, had voted for Trump and is excited to see him performing well tonight. "He wants peace, he wants security, he wants to save our children," she says, waving a large Trump flag. "I'm feeling grateful, thank you Jesus." In the past hour, Donald Trump has declared victory in the U.S. presidential election, delivering a wide-ranging speech to supporters at his watch party in Florida. In case you missed it, here's what he said. Trump thanked voters. "I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president." He said he'd won the popular vote. Votes are still being tallied, but Trump does look set to win a majority of votes at this election. "America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate," he said. JD Vance turned out to be a good choice. Trump praised his running mate, who himself said Trump had just pulled off the greatest political comeback in American history during the speech. Elon Musk is a star. A section of Trump's speech was dedicated to the tech billionaire, who Trump said was an amazing guy. RFK Jr. will make America healthy again. Trump appeared to suggest Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the former independent presidential candidate, who has a history of supporting unfounded conspiracy theories about vaccines, will have a role relating to healthcare in his administration. Kennedy withdrew from the race in August to endorse Trump. In the past hour, Donald Trump has declared victory in the U.S. presidential election, delivering a wide-ranging speech to supporters at his watch party in Florida. In case you missed it, here's what he said. Trump thanked voters. "I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president." He said he'd won the popular vote. Votes are still being tallied, but Trump does look set to win a majority of votes at this election. "America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate," he said. JD Vance turned out to be a good choice. Trump praised his running mate, who himself said Trump had just pulled off the greatest political comeback in American history during the speech. Elon Musk is a star. A section of Trump's speech was dedicated to the tech billionaire, who Trump said was an amazing guy. RFK Jr. will make America healthy again. Trump appeared to suggest Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the former independent presidential candidate, who has a history of supporting unfounded conspiracy theories about vaccines, will have a role relating to healthcare in his administration. Kennedy withdrew from the race in August to endorse Trump. Keir Starmer has become the next world leader to congratulate Donald Trump on what he calls a historic election victory. "I look forward to working with you in the years ahead," the UK's Prime Minister says, adding, "As the closest of allies, we stand shoulder to shoulder in defense of our shared values of freedom, democracy and enterprise. From growth and security to innovation and tech, I know that the UK-US special relationship will continue to prosper on both sides of the Atlantic for years to come." Now Donald Trump has declared victory in this presidential election. Some world leaders have started congratulating him. Congratulations on history's greatest comeback. Your historic return to the White House offers a new beginning for America and a powerful recommitment to the great alliance between Israel and America, says Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. He adds, "This is a huge victory." And Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán says similar, "The biggest comeback in US political history." Congratulations to President Donald Trump on his enormous win. A much-needed victory for the world. As a reminder, Trump has declared victory, but he's not yet reached the required number of electoral college votes. He's 4 shy of the 270 he needs. Kamala Harris is on 219. As things stand, Donald Trump looks set to win the popular vote, i.e., win the most votes in total, something he didn't even do in 2016. He has vowed retribution and revenge if he gets back into the White House. He has vowed the biggest deportation of migrants in history, more tariffs on foreign trade, and promised to end the war in Ukraine and Middle East, though he's never said how. So there's a shopping list of all shopping lists there. But he has his mandate. Technically, this isn't over. But let's be straight, this is all over bar the shouting. Donald Trump will be the next president of the United States. He will be only the second man in history to serve 2 non-consecutive terms as president. Here he is at 78 years old, facing multiple scandals over his career, multiple court cases, criminal and civil, a conviction, a sentencing in 3 weeks' time, and escaping death by a fraction from an assassin's bullet. And here he is, having persuaded what looks like a majority of the American people to send him back to Washington into the White House. In some Democratic Party circles, the post-mortem is already beginning despite a result not officially having been called yet. One Democrat political operative in D.C. texts to say the party needs to flush out elitist snobs in D.C. for a start. Others have told me the same, albeit less bluntly, that while they praise the efforts of the campaign, they feel the party as a whole has an image problem at a time when basic, everyday things like the cost of living are front of mind for most voters. This Democrat despair brings to mind a conversation I had with a Republican at one Trump rally who said their candidate had completely reimagined the Republican Party from its country club voter stereotype to appealing to working-class families, while the Democrats had become the party of Hollywood. These are big generalizations, but ones Republicans publicly, and some Democrats privately, now share. While Trump has just declared himself the victor, states across the U.S. are still counting ballots. Minnesota has just been called for Kamala Harris, giving her 10 electoral college votes. The state is home to her running mate, Tim Walz. New Jersey, another Democratic stronghold, has also just been called for Harris, giving her another 14 electoral college votes. Trump just briefly mentioned the assassination attempt made on him in July, which he survived after a bullet grazed his ear at a campaign rally. He tells the crowd his life was saved for a reason, a suggestion that was made throughout his campaign. Trump says he'll bring every ounce of spirit and fight to the White House, and that being president is the most important job in the world. He adds that he'll run his government on the motto, promises made, promises kept. And that's that. As is customary with Trump speeches, YMCA is played as he leaves the stage. As a reminder, Trump has declared victory in this election, but he's not yet reached the required number of electoral college votes. He's 4 shy of the 270 he needs. Kamala Harris is on 219. Dana White, the boss of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, is on the stage and Trump just asked him to speak. "This is what happens when the machine comes after you," White says. Couldn't stop him. He keeps going forward. Never quits, White says, adding that Trump deserves this win. White was also the man who introduced Trump at the Republican National Convention earlier this year, just days after he was shot in the ear. White closes by thanking the mighty and powerful Joe Rogan, the influential podcast host, who is a UFC commentator, who endorsed Trump on Monday. After some chants from the crowd, Trump starts speaking about someone who's become a major part of his campaign, ex-owner and the world's richest person Elon Musk. He describes Musk as a new star of the Republican Party, before going on to tell a lengthy story about how he once left the billionaire on hold for 40 minutes while he watched a video of a SpaceX rocket. Trump describes him as a wonderful guy. Next up, Trump congratulates the man he says will be the next vice president of the U.S., JD Vance. Again, the Republicans haven't yet been announced the winners of this election, but are just 4 electoral college votes shy of that. Trump asks Vance, who the crowd are cheering for, to say a few words. Vance takes to the mic and describes Trump's campaign as the greatest political comeback ever. Making light of the heat he says he took for choosing Vance a few months ago, Trump says Vance was the right choice. Trump thanks his wife Melania, calling her the First Lady. He praises her book, saying she has the #1 bestseller in the country. She's done a great job, he says, adding she works very hard to help people. He also thanks his amazing children, naming each of them as they stand on stage with him. Trump's continuing to speak to a raucous crowd at his campaign HQ in Florida. He tells the crowd that he hopes, one day, they'll look back and consider this one of the most important days of your life. America has given us an unprecedented and powerful mandate, he goes on, referencing his party winning the Senate back from the Democratic Party. Trump goes on to say that this will be the golden age of America. This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again, he adds, using his campaign slogan and catchphrase. Trump has declared victory, although he has not yet achieved the official required electoral college votes. Trump says, "We're going to help our country heal." He vows to fix the borders, adding that he and his party made history for a reason. It's quite clearly being used as a victory speech by the Republican candidate. And a reminder that you can watch him speak at the top of this page. There's a lot of people on stage with Donald Trump, including his running mate JD Vance, his wife Melania Trump and campaign staff. After a lengthy entrance, we're beginning to hear from him now. He describes it as a political victory and thanks the crowd for electing him as their 47th president, as well as their 45th. Remember, though, he's still 4 electoral college votes off, so hasn't technically won the race yet. The crowd chants USA, USA, USA.